Now we get to everyone's favorite part, the 808, and we are definitely not going to screw this up. It's cold as hell out here, bro. It's like 0 degrees and there's like 6 inches of snow. What's up, you guys? It's Sicky, your favorite producer. Hope you guys are having a great start to your year. At the beginning of every year, I try and make one beat that I can then compare to the beat that I made last year so I can get an idea of how much I've improved over the last 12 months. And this year I want to do that, but I also want to show you guys a couple of cool tips and tricks that I learned along the way that you'll definitely find useful. Make sure you stick around for the whole video because a lot of these tips and tricks I'm about to show you are not necessarily covered in YouTube videos. Even before I start making the beat, one thing I learned last year is that if I want to be efficient, a template of some sort is going to greatly increase my productivity. Now, my template I include in my Monarch Experience Plus, so that'll be linked in the description, and that includes these markers that I use to help me arrange a song, as well as a couple of plugins on my master channel with instructions on how I like to use it in case you were interested. The second thing I learned last year was to use all the tools that you have at your disposal. So whether that means using a loop plugin, whatever it is, do whatever you need to do to make the best music that you possibly can. So I pulled up this sample that I found on a royalty-free streaming platform, and this is what I'm going to try and make a beat with. That's sick. A pretty sweet loop, I won't lie to you. I think it does fall in and out of time a little bit, so I'm gonna quickly chop it up. That sounds way better. That's the one. And then I'm gonna quickly edit this. That's it. Ooh, you know what'll sound really cool with this? Like some type of scratch. So I have this one right here. Chop this up real quick. Ooh, that sounds tight. But I don't think we need this part here. I have this little Timbaland ad-lib. I'm gonna chop it up like this. I'm gonna turn this off because I want people to think that the melody was scratched. Woo! That sounds cool. I feel I have to make sure that this drop hits hard. The third thing that I learned last year is that I really like music that sounds different from what everyone is hyped about. So I try not to be afraid of trying new elements and new techniques in my music. Now, right after these vocals is gonna be the drop, and I think I want to create a different type of a bounce. And so I'm gonna try using this chain that I came up with a couple months ago, which includes an OTT, an LFO tool that's modulating the volume to kind of make a little chopping sound, and then an echo boy to kind of shift the loop ahead by about 20 milliseconds. Dude, that sounds so sick. Which brings me to the fourth thing that I learned last year. When I have a plugin that I don't necessarily know how to use right away, I will spend a whole day making presets for that plugin till I understand how to use that. And for me, that plugin would be Echo Boy and LFO tool, which I've been using for a very long time now. And I am so confident with these two plugins that I can get a range of different sounds, from choruses to flangers, to even using it as an EQ or a distortion plugin. That's the power of knowing and understanding your tools. Let's add some drums. The fifth thing that I learned last year was that simple patterns always sound way harder than the more complicated pattern. I don't know what the science of it is, but it just works. And the second thing is I know how I'm going to master my song, so I know I have to use a clean sound to get that nice woolly kick drum sound. I have clean kicks in my Monarch drum kit that I know always work. These are all just pure sine wavy that work just great for this kind of music. And when you distort them, and clean drum sounds, dude, sound way better because they already are so pure when you distort them, especially when they're driven hard into a soft clipper. Again, building on the keeping it simple, I'm just gonna add 2-step hi-hats and then maybe a snare right here. A roll like this. Perfect. The sixth thing that I was doing a lot last year that I definitely am going to continue doing this year is to always play with the shift knob. The first underutilized way that I've discovered is to use it as a way to align the face of your kick drum to your 808. The second way that I use the shift knob is to shift the hi-hats ever so slightly ahead of the kick drum so that we can still hear the kick drum and we can still hear the hi-hat. They don't clash as much. And the third way, which you guys will already know probably, is if you push it really far ahead, you will get an interesting bounce. Now the kick drum and the hi-hat kind of going. That's what my hi-hat sounds like. Pretty simple, but now we get to everyone's favorite part, the 808. And we are definitely not going to screw this up because we know how to make the perfect sounding 808, and we're going to make this so hard. You just wait. Now, the seventh thing that I learned last year was to never settle on the first 808 that you end up creating a pattern with. Replace that 808 a number of times till you find the one that will work. I feel like the pattern is on point, but the tone of that sound isn't quite there. As it's playing, we'll just keep switching them out. Hey. It's just a little bit too short for my taste, so I'm just going to turn on loop points. And then I will just adjust it with my envelope. That's so fucking tight. What else can I add to this now? I feel like I can beef up the 808 with like a sawtooth wave, turn up the release, make it monophonic. And then to just make the high end a little bit more fizzy, I'm just gonna turn on the noise oscillator. That's going to react really nicely with the distortion on the master. Call that tip number 7, is to find an undertone, a sawtooth wave, an octave below your original 808 with some noise. Just check this out. That. That shit just, I feel like that sound just makes it sound like the sound is just trying to tear out of your speakers. Okay, I'm just gonna add one or two little things like a little to it, and then I wanna find the beat from last year and then this one, pull them up together and see how much I've improved. Okay, so I have both beats pulled up. The top one is from last year, the bottom one is the one that I made today. I'm going to listen to both of them and kind of do a commentary over them to kind of point out things that catch my ear. Let's check out the beat from last year and see where we were at with our skills. Okay, the hi-hats are already too loud, the sample's a little too quiet. Come on! Oh no. The 808 is too low on the keys. And the compressor on the master is just sucking the life out of the mix. And the whole drums are just so complicated. Oh man. So I was definitely overproducing last year. Let's see what this year's beat sounds like in comparison. See, I feel like it's so much more open now. Way simpler. And definitely repetition. Yeah, things are not just poking out and it feels more kind of even sounding. That sounds dope, man. I definitely feel like I improved. A couple of things that come to mind. 808s, I figured out that I can't go any lower than A flat on my piano when it comes to playing 808s. Anything lower than that, then you start losing clarity of the 808. The simplicity of drums, like not having too many extra percussion sounds, not going wild with the hi-hats, and figuring out how people are gonna bounce their head to the beat. And I feel like that's kind of what this 2022 beat sounds like. Now, that all being said, I want you guys to give this a try for yourself and compare this year's beat that you might have made and compare it to last year's beat and figure out where you improved, what you can improve on. And then let me know in the comments for 2022, what do you want to do, accomplish, get better at as a producer? For me, I want to get much better at playing the piano and learning music theory. Even though I know how to play a little bit of piano, you'll see me playing, I feel like I can get a lot better at this. And secondly, I would love to make better arrangements that hold the listener's ears a little bit longer. I feel like that would really translate nicely on these YouTube videos and other projects that I have going on in the background. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the differences between these two beats, and if you have any suggestions, leave them below the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.